You know that cup of black coffee you're holding? Turns out, it's not just a morning ritual. It's actually a daily dose of some pretty complex science. We're going to break down what the latest research says it's really doing to your body and your brain. And trust me, some of the answers are going to surprise you.
So let's just get right to the big question, right? Is this daily ritual of ours a secret health tonic or a habit we should probably be trying to kick? Well, the science is absolutely fascinating, and the answer, as you might guess, isn't quite that simple.
I love this quote because it really captures how scientists see coffee. They don't just see a beverage, they see this complex botanical brew with real, measurable biological effects. I mean, think about it. It's basically a low-dose drug that billions of us are taking every single day.
Okay, so let's start with the fun part, the good stuff. What are the scientifically backed superpowers that come with a simple cup of black coffee? Turns out the benefits are surprisingly broad.
First up, your metabolism. Yeah, research shows that caffeine is a really powerful thermogenic agent. What does that mean? Well, it basically kicks your body's engine into a higher gear, boosting your resting metabolic rate by as much as 11%. This actually signals your body to start breaking down fat stores and burning them for fuel. Pretty cool, huh? Now let's talk about coffee's most famous effect, the brain boost. So caffeine's little magic trick is that it blocks a neurotransmitter called adenosine. Adenosine is the stuff that makes you feel sleepy. So when it's blocked, other feel-good brain chemicals like dopamine get a boost, which leads to better focus, a brighter mood, and even faster reaction times.
And check this out. What about the long-term brain benefits? This number is just stunning, a 32% reduced risk of developing Alzheimer's disease. And this isn't just one study. A huge meta-analysis found this link with drinking just 1 or 2 cups of coffee a day. It really seems like there's a protective sweet spot for our long-term brain health.
And the protection doesn't stop with the brain. The data consistently links moderate coffee drinking to a lower risk of Parkinson's disease. Its effect on the liver is even more dramatic. Some studies show an up to 80% lower risk of cirrhosis. And on top of all that, an 18% lower incidence of cancer overall. It's almost like a shield for your internal systems.
But of course, it's not some magic potion. To get the full picture, we have to look at the other side of the coin. We need to talk about the potential risks.
And this is maybe the most crucial point to understand. The broad health benefits, they come from the entire coffee matrix. All those thousands of compounds like antioxidants and polyphenols. But the risks, they're almost entirely driven by one single compound, caffeine. This is the key to figuring out how to manage the downsides.
You ever wonder why that 3 p.m. coffee keeps you staring at the ceiling at 10 p.m.? It's all about caffeine's half-life. It takes your body, on average, anywhere from 3 to 7 hours to clear out just half of the caffeine you drank. So, a pretty big chunk of it is still active in your system long after you've finished that cup.
So what happens when that caffeine hangs around for too long? Well, it can lead to some pretty common issues. If you have too much, it can overstimulate your nervous system and cause anxiety or jitters. It can totally wreck the deep, restorative stages of your sleep. And yep, your body can become physically dependent, which leads to those awful withdrawal headaches if you suddenly stop.
Okay, so this brings us to the most important part of this whole thing. The effects of coffee are absolutely not one size fits all. The perfect coffee habit is a personal equation. And now, we're going to break down the variables so you can figure out your own.
Unlocking your personal coffee code really comes down to just these 3 things: how much you drink, how your body is genetically wired to handle it, and, this one's a biggie, how you actually make it. This is where your personal biology really comes into play. There's a specific gene called CYP1A2, and it controls how quickly you process caffeine. If you have the fast version of this gene, you clear it out of your system quickly and the effects are shorter. But if you have the slow version, that caffeine hangs around for much, much longer, which makes you way more likely to feel anxious or have trouble sleeping.
And believe it or not, how you brew your coffee matters a whole lot more than you might think. See, unfiltered methods like a French press let these compounds called diterpenes get into your cup, and those can raise your LDL, or bad cholesterol. But the simple act of using a paper filter, it removes them completely. You totally avoid that specific risk just by changing how you brew.
All right, let's bring all this science together into a clear, actionable takeaway. How do you actually brew the perfect, healthiest coffee habit for you?
The research all seems to point to this idea of a therapeutic window. It's that sweet spot where you're getting the maximum health benefits while keeping those risks super low. And for most healthy adults, that window for caffeine is up to about 400 milligrams a day.
So what does 400 milligrams even look like?
Well, it's roughly 3 to 5 standard 8-ounce cups of brewed coffee. But, and this is super important, caffeine content can vary wildly depending on the beans and the brew method, so being mindful of your serving size is absolutely crucial.
So, here it is, your final checklist for a healthy coffee ritual. First, remember the benefits are in black coffee, not the sugary lattes. Second, use a paper filter to protect your cholesterol. Third, time it right. Stop all caffeine at least 6 to 8 hours before you go to bed to protect your sleep. And finally, and most importantly, listen to your body. If you feel anxious or jittery, you're probably a slow metabolizer and you should cut back.
So the final verdict is in. Coffee isn't just good or bad. Its effect is all about the dose, the timing, the preparation, and your own unique biology. So now that you know the code, what's one thing you're going to change about your daily ritual? Are you going to switch to a paper filter, or maybe cut off your caffeine intake a little earlier in the day? Let me know your new coffee strategy down in the comments below.